Hello and welcome to Audiobook Reviews. In this video, I'll be discussing Weird Sisters, a novel of Discworld by Terry Pratchett. This continues my read-through of Discworld, and in this entry, we see Granny Weatherwax make her second appearance, along with the other two witches in her coven, though they're still, of course, very independent, not really organized, Nanny-Og and Magret. Filled with jokes concerning the countless tropes involving witches, to medieval feudalistic life parody, to even the light social commentary on human nature concerning change, this book is chock full of exactly what you would expect in a Discworld novel. The story takes us back to the Ramtops, where a king is assassinated by his brother, and the heir is rushed away and by chance handed over to our three witches as they met in the wilderness. Determined not to meddle in the affairs of kings and lords, the witches give the child to a husband and wife who lead a troupe of actors traveling with the disc and entertaining with plays. Later, however, the people have problems with the new king, and even the land itself seems upset and wants a change. Fitting for a story that prominently features an acting troupe, Weird Sisters does feel very Shakespearean at many points, with Pratchett writing both tragic irony and comedy masterfully. This novel felt like it very much called for a play version, so it was no surprise when I saw there is indeed a Weird Sisters play. The prose doesn't really feel like you're actually reading a play, although just a lot of themes, dialogues, and situations definitely feel like they would translate well to the stage. There's also a running joke throughout where many characters do not really understand the premise of the theater, which gives quite a few laughs as well. The book very much continues the trend I've been enjoying, where there is still plenty of unbridled zaniness, but also a plot that is much more neatly defined. I enjoyed the first Granny Weatherwax book, Equal Rights, quite a lot, and I found seeing this character and the other witches to be a lot of fun, at least for me, much more fun to read than the books that focus on the Unseen University and Rincewind, though I did enjoy the Rincewind books a little bit more each book in the series. We have very much more headology, the idea that the most important thing for a witch is to be seen as a witch, play a big role in this book. And this concept in general is just so well written. From seeing the witches be creative in what they use when they actually do their spells, saying your thoughts or will is really the more important thing than the actual ingredients, to getting into sticky situations when headology doesn't work. The idea of different ingredients actually does bring some great jokes when we find out that one of the witches is vegan and definitely does not want to use any Eye of Newt. Pratchett playfully takes aim at the ever-present idea of many people that things were better in the past. We're told the new king is bad, and then each example of this typically comes with the mention of, well, the old king did that too, but it was still better. He'd burn houses, but he'd be more personal about it. The overall story of an heir is the king growing up and coming to claim his rightful place on the throne, and his destiny is also turned on its head in the classic Pratchett style. As you'd expect if you've read Pratchett, there's the jokes about, well, it always happens this way, where the characters are aware of the tropes and cliches and fully expect them to happen, but more than that even, you still get a twist and fun-filled ending, turning a lot of these tropes and cliches on their head. If you've watched any of my other Discworld videos, you'll know I like to read out a few of my favorite quotes from the book with no context, so for Weird Sisters, here those are. First we have, things that try to look like things often do look more like things than things. Next is, only once in the entire history of witchery in the Ramtops had a thief broken into a witch's cottage. The witch concerned visited the most terrible punishment on him. She did nothing, although, when she saw him next in the village, she'd smile in a faint, puzzled way. After 3 weeks of this, the suspense was too much for him, and he took his own life. In fact, he took it all the way across the continent, where he became a reformed character and never went home again. Such just a classic Pratchett joke within a joke. And finally, a magic sword is important, said Magret. You've got to have one. We could make him one, she added wistfully. Out of thunderbolt iron. I've got a spell for that. You take some thunderbolt iron, she said uncertainly, and then you make a sword out of it. So overall, this was a very enjoyable read. Pratchett is the master of absurdist comedy, and as I get further into Discworld, the issues I had with the lackluster plot early on have been steadily resolved. The 2 Granny Weatherwax books I've read so far have been my favorite, and I very much look forward to the next entries. Considering most people say the later books are the absolute best, I find the fact that I'm enjoying the early books as much as I am to be something that really tells me I need to keep reading Discworld and keep going if the best is just yet to come. If you enjoy humor and wit, there's a great supply here. And for those like me maybe who were more a fan of the too craziness in some of the really early Pratchett books that are as part of his style, the dramatic irony, the more depth of the story, all that that's present with this book may actually make you enjoy this one more than some of the others in the series. That said, that was my review of Weird Sisters. If you liked this video, feel free to give it a like, and if you'd like to see additional content like this, then feel free to subscribe.